I want to share with you some words written by John Steinbeck 75 years ago. In the eyes of the people, there is the failure, and in the eyes of the hungry, there is a growing wrath. In the souls of the people, the grapes of wrath are filling and growing heavy for the vintage.
Hey, hey, ho, ho, Monsanto's got to go! Hey, hey, ho, ho!
Now, the people he was talking about were in rough shape. They were the survivors of the Dust Bowl. They were literally starving to death. They were the victims of the policies of big agribusiness. Let's face it, we're better off than they were. But when I look out over the crowd, I see the same kind of anger. And I see the same kind of hunger for justice, for accountability, for empowerment. Wouldn't it be great if we could simply pass a legally binding ordinance that would ban GMO foods and not only that, and strip corporations like Monsanto of their so-called corporate rights? Well, I'm here today to tell you that we can. We actually can. Does it sound impossible? Does it seem impossible? If it does, it's because we are conditioned to believe that we are powerless. And there is a reason for that. Some of you have probably heard about the Princeton study that came out last month. This is a very interesting study. They studied 1,800 policy initiatives over the course of a 20-year period. What they found was that the preference of the majority of Americans made no difference whatsoever in whether those initiatives passed. What made a difference was whether they were favored by the wealthy elite. In other words, if you've long suspected that we are not actually a democracy, it's because we're not. Don't take my word from it. You know, these are some folks from Princeton saying this. Does it ever feel like we're living in a kind of like a democracy theme park? You know, you go into the little booth, you pull the lever, you pick up the phone, you call your senator, but nothing's connected to anything. It's all just bells and whistles. Well, this is the case. It's the wealthy elite who actually make the decisions here. Some would call this a broken system. Some would say the system's been hijacked. If you ask me, the system is designed that way. And I'll go into more of that in just a second here. But I want to share with you another little exchange from that book, The Grapes of Wrath, celebrating 75 years. This is a little exchange between a bank representative going out to foreclose on a small farmer, okay? So the banker says, "It's not us, it's the bank. A bank isn't like a man." The farmer says, "Yes, but the bank is only made of men." The banker says, "No, you're wrong there, quite wrong there. The bank is something else than men. It happens that every man in the bank hates what the bank does, and yet the bank does it. The bank is something more than men, I tell you. It's the monster. Men made it, but they can't control it." It would seem that not much has changed in 75 years, but what I'm here to share with you today is that people have found a way to fight the monster and win. I'm going to tell you about 200 communities across the country, towns, municipalities, counties, who have partnered with something called the Community Environmental Legal Defense Fund, based in Pennsylvania. These communities have successfully banned fracking. Factory farms. They have successfully banned hazardous waste dumping. What's more important, none of these 200 bans have been successfully challenged and overturned by corporations. Now the question is, how did they do this, right? It seems like we're in a rigged system, and we are. How did they do this? Now this is very important. They did not just place a ban. What they did is they claimed that, because if they just placed a ban on the fracking or whatever, well, the corporation would come in, challenge it in court and say it violates their constitutional rights, which it does, and they would overturn it. So what these communities did, what the Community Environmental Legal Defense Fund helped them to do, was they asserted that their rights to basic health and safety are more important than the corporation's rights to turn a profit. Okay? It seems like a basic truth, right? You have to say this in court. And furthermore, they refuse to play by the rules of a rigged system. Built into these ordinances, which are really mini constitutions, is a statement that that municipality refuses to recognize the constitutional rights of those corporations. Okay? So this is disobedience. This is what you have to do when the system is rigged. Let me give some examples of this. In Mora County, New Mexico, this is the first county in the U.S. to ban all hydrocarbon extraction, including fracking. This is currently being challenged in court. We'll see how it plays out. In Colorado, there is a statewide initiative going on the ballot that would challenge state preemption of these kinds of ordinances. Yeah! Right? This is where a company like Monsanto, this is happening in Oregon, a company like Monsanto comes in and manages to pass a law saying communities can't organize like this. Makes it illegal for us to organize like this. Well, Colorado is putting an initiative on the state ballot to make this sort of preemption illegal. Here in Oregon, there are two counties, Benton County and Lane County, both agricultural counties. Both have ordinances going to the ballot that would establish a right to a sustainable food system, and including things like a right to a seed heritage. What these ordinances would do is they would ban the growing of GMO crops. And furthermore, they would strip corporations like Monsanto of their so-called corporate rights that they use like a shield. Here in Portland, we have a local group. We are discussing the possibility of a county-wide Bill of Rights to a sustainable and healthy food system, which would place a ban on GMO-based ingredients being sold anywhere in the county. Now keep in mind, ordinances like this they violate the U.S. Constitution. They are acts of disobedience. What they do, they set up a crisis of jurisdiction. Who's in charge, right? The corporations and the federal government, or local communities like ours, to make decisions about our basic health and welfare. I want to read you a brief excerpt this is from Article 1, Section 1 of our Oregon State Constitution. This is the highest law in the land. It says, all power is inherent in the people, and all free governments are founded on this authority, and instituted for their peace, safety, and happiness, and they, the people, have at all times the right to alter, reform, or abolish the government in such a manner as they think proper. This is the power we have. And I'm coming close to the end, but I also want to read you, this is very exciting. In a recent ruling, a Pennsylvania judge, this is a hero, Debbie Odell Seneca, a Pennsylvania judge, in striking down a case from a corporation, a fracking corporation, she writes, corporations do not exist in the manner that humankind exists. They cannot be let alone by the government because businesses are but grapes, ripe upon the vine of the law, that the people of this commonwealth raise, tend, and prune at their leisure and need. In other words, she's saying she does not recognize the so-called corporate rights found by corporations in the Constitution. Now I want to tell you, how do you get involved with this if you're interested? We have a table here. I'll be there for the next hour. I can talk to you. We have a website, communityrightspdx.org. We teach 2-hour intro courses on this material. There's a guy here in town, Paul Cienfuegos. We're incredibly lucky to have him here in Portland with us. He teaches a 2-day course. It's very detailed. It explains how we've gotten into this mess, how we've lost control so fully, and what we can do about it. Our group meets twice monthly, and Thomas Lindsay, the founder of the Community Environmental Legal Defense Fund based in Pennsylvania, he will be in Eugene on June 4th speaking if you want to see him. I highly recommend it. And I'm going to leave you with a quote from Thomas Lindsay, which is that the power of the people is so much greater than the people in power. I believe this. And what I want to say as a final remark is this is not just about banning GMOs, right? It's not just about shutting down corporations like Monsanto. This is about building true grassroots democracy of a kind that we perhaps never actually really had in this country, but that we are ready for. Everywhere it seems people are waking up to this desire. And I know you all are ready for this, so thank you so much.